morning. All right, what a nice day. Finally, after all this rain, we're back in here. Gonna unmask this thing, make sure we didn't miss any spots. I'm gonna start putting the sun visors back in it, take all the crap out from inside it, and then we're gonna start putting it, get some wiring done in it. So we're gonna install the box up on the top and then run the rest of the wires. We're gonna set up the ignition box in the car and all that stuff. We'll show you how we're gonna set it all up. All right, got it all untaped, nice and clean. Make sure nothing's touching anything. Paint all came out good. Johnny did a nice job. So now we got this panel. We got the sun visors back in place. Got the wiring kit. So we're gonna put the box up inside. I'm gonna leave the center bolt loose. I'm gonna put the two side ones on first. And then I'm gonna get the ground that goes off of the box for the lights and stuff. That's gonna get grounded right to the back of the box with the bolt in the back. And then we'll run the wires down that one side and leave the box up there and get ready to mount some parts in here and see where everything's gonna lay out. So really the only thing I laid out so far was obviously the fuel pump in the back and the coil up in that corner. And then we're gonna see where else everything's gonna end up going. We're gonna run lights. We're gonna run a couple switches for the door, windows, make the windows go up and down, that kind of stuff like that. All right, so let me get this thing mounted up inside there. We'll start with that. This way I know that's all good to go, and run the cable down. All right, let's see if you can see this in here. So we made these little tabs, right? Like that. And put little Allen head bolts in it. Alright, like that, and like that. And then the middle one, these two side ones will get a nut and bolt. Alright. That one there. That one there. Alright, and then the middle one, we'll just lock it in place. But like I said, I'm going to put a ground wire on that, so that'll ground the lights. This thing's up nice and high. This visor still goes up and down, no problem. This one ain't going to go up and down because of the bar. And then we have the mount here for the parachute, and I ain't putting that up in there until later, so I don't keep hitting my friggin' head on it. Alright, so right, I'll run the wire cable through that hole, put a plug in it. It comes with a grommet. This side will get a plug. I'll get that on there. Alright, so this is what we're using, painless wiring. This is all pre-wired as far as wiring that goes, and then the cable, they give you enough cable to go wherever you need it. So they give you a schematic with it, so you just gotta make sure the wires are hooked up right. And then obviously you got an ignition, start, this just momentary switch, and then you got all the other ones. So we're gonna run the lights to the lights. The lights have, it's a dual action, so you could put that on like that for just parking lights, and that like that for headlights and parking lights. Okay, and then accessory, whatever we're going to use for that. Water pump, we're only going to use one fuel pump. Same thing, fuel pump has a primer. If you want to just prime it, you can let go and then turn it on. Okay, you got electric fan, water pump, The other fuel pump one, we're going to figure out if we need anything else. We actually use that for, you know, whatever. He could use that later for a nitrous, and then he could use this as a purge and then turn the nitrous on. And then the other ones you could use for whatever. All right. So, all right. Let me get this thing mounted up in there, run the wire through the hole, and with the grommet. Okay. All right, so this is the way I'm doing this. So you got the switch panel. Okay, here's your directions. Here's all your wiring, where everything goes. Okay. So red goes to the battery source, which we're going to run that later, and the black is chassis ground. So the roll cage is part of your chassis at this point. So I leave enough lead so that we can run this like this, right? It's gonna go back to there, but enough lead so that you could drop it down out of the box if you need to work on it or something. So we're gonna use one of those terminals, put it on here, run the screw into it, and it'll get grounded right to that. And then the rest of the wires are going through that hole. All right, so we got battery tested. We got the box mounted. We got all the switch panel put in place, all the fuses put in place where they're supposed to be. So we got power, right? Making sure we got power on everything first. Even though nothing's hooked up, we're just making sure this all works, right? And that, okay, so now with the ignition on, we're gonna go over here and test the other end of the wires. Okay. The last thing you want to do is put all this in place and start wire tying it all up, and then the thing don't work. So we're gonna go here. Battery we have, chassis ground we got. The blue with the yellow stripe wire is gonna be your headlights. So let's find the blue with the yellow. All right, blue, 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 blue with yellow, which is this one. Okay, let's see if I can do this while I got you on here. Let me get a little stand. Hold on a second. All right, so come out here, get all the ends of the wires so we can figure out which one's which. All right. Ground back on here. Ground wire. Ground wire there. Positive here. Okay. And what we'll do is strip back all these. Now let me strip all these back. This way I got something to test. Okay. All right, so got all the wires stripped back. We'll take the test light. And right now we only have ignition on there, which is the red wire. We're going to start with, let's go right down the list that they got. Headlights. So headlight on. Headlights. Headlight. Headlight is blue and yellow. And parking lights or marker lights, tail lights is brown. So this one is the brown one. Okay, so up switch, like I said before, up is just the parking lights, and then down becomes the parking lights and, all right, so you got parking lights and headlights. Okay, so we know those two work. All right. Next up, water pump. Water pump Blue light goes on. Water pump is water pump. Blue. So it's this one. We got blue. That works. All right. Next one. So with the ignition on, the pink wire, that goes to the electronic box, right? That's going to go to the ignition box. Coil, if you had no coil. Purple is going to be the starter. I'll do that one last because I got to hold both. Yellow and white. All right, yellow and white is going to be fuel pump. Fuel pump number 1. So, fuel pump number 1. Let's see if you could see that. I'm going to prime it. Hit the primer first. Pump number 1. What happened? Pump number 1. Yellow, 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 yeah, yellow, yellow and white. Is pump number 1, right? Primer on. Okay, that one's good. I'll do the starter while I'm here like that. That's start. That's good. Brown wire, tail light we already did. Green is the fuel pump number 2. Prime, start, and gray is the fan, electric fan, on, off, white, there is no white, okay, or orange. Orange is the accessory wire. That's the last one. Working on, off. All right, so we got everything working. Now we know everything's hooked up. At least it works. We know at least from the panel to the end of the wires, we're good to go. Shut this off. All right, and take this battery off. Okay, so now I'm going to run the wires down, and then we're going to leave them on the floor here till we figure out what's getting mounted where. So we know the fuel pump obviously is in the back. Starter is up front. That's going to go through the firewall. Alternator is going to go through the firewall. And then we're going to run a ground cable. We're going to mount the battery in the back. We're going to run the ground cable and the battery cable and bring the lugs up front. So we have 2 nice good lug nuts, lug studs mounting to run all the power to and the power off. All right. All right, so got the wires running down to there. We have a positive and a negative one of these lugs. Okay, we're gonna mount over here on this side. I'm gonna make a little panel that goes in here or something. I'm gonna mount that there, and then all the wires will run off of that. We're gonna run the battery cables to the back. Got battery cable. We're gonna run the on-off switch, shut-off switch. We're gonna put here on the top. Charging lugs we're gonna mount on the bottom, underneath. And this has got to get wired. So we got wire coming for that and the ground. Picked up a whole bunch of lugs. Terminal ends for the battery cables. And put the battery in here so we know what we're going to do with that. I'm going to weld a stud to the plate there. So we're going to run the ground wire to that. Okay, so I'll show you how we get all that done real quick with that. That's going to get mounted. I'm going to make some holes, mount the bracket on there first, and remount the stud, whatever you want to call it, lugs, charging lugs back onto that. And then we'll run a wire from the battery to that, And I'll show you what it looks like when we're done with it. All right, so we're in the back of the car. Crimper. Got the cable cut back. Got the cable on the battery in there. We're gonna run it. I'll show you what this looks like. So that's mounted under there. I got a hole here. And this is gonna get mounted on the inside. So I'm gonna wire it, leave enough slack, and then I'll be able to mount it in there. So we're gonna put this on here. Like that. Mount that there. These crimpers are awesome. Alright, that goes like that. And then what I do is get some of this red and black duct tape. And then seal it off. Nice and tight. Just like so. And that's that one. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the negative cable. I'm going to run one from the battery. I'm going to weld a stud on there like I told you. And then I'm going to run another one down to the lug. So the charging lug will be able to charge the battery from outside. We were going to mount it in the gas cap door, but there's no room in there because it's like double walled and stuff. And we don't want to make any more holes in the bumper, so figure put it under there anyway. Alright, so that's that one. I got to make a cable that goes from there to this one. Let me cut that up. I'll show you what it looks like when it's getting done. Alright, so got the other cable, alright? So if you're going to cut cable, especially this thick, you get these at Lowe's. This you can order online. I think Harbor Freight even has these, but you can order these online. Alright, so that's going to go there. And I got to look at which one goes which. I'm going to get a wrench to loosen these up, and I got to see which one goes which, and then there's a jumper cable that goes from one to the other. So I gotta look that up, and I'll get back to you. Well, I just picked up the rest of the wire I need. Okay, so that piece that he brought. All right, so we cut what we needed off of this. Now that's short, and it's really freaking bulky heavy. So I got number 2. Gonna go from here all the way to the front to where we need it, and then we got ground cable. And number 6 for the alternator. Oh man, you don't know. This is crazy. So this same stuff was less than half of what I just paid today for this crap. Napa. That's that one. That's that one. And that's that one. Unreal. And the terminal ends and more ends where the other one's going. Another box ends there.
Used to be half.
It was less than half of this. It's crazy.
Before. Now
430
36, I think.
$436 or $437 for this crap. Unreal. All right. So you want to build a race car? There you go. And that's not counting all the little crap. It's crazy how much money you'll spend. But All right, here we go. I'm gonna put that piece on there, run it to the front, put another terminal on the other end. All right, so Josh is under there making some holes in the sides of the inside of the panel so that the wire can go up and over and not just lay on the bottom of the bumper against the frame rail or nothing. This way, if it scrapes on the ground or wheelies or something stupid, it ain't gonna cut any wires or short anything out. So that's up on top. That's on there. That's on. That's off. I'll put a little mark on there later. The panel they give you that says on and off. I don't know. I guess people don't think when they're making something. Did you even keep that thing or threw it out?
No, it's in the box.
It's cockeyed, so
Whatever you did with
it
the
sits
box.
on it. It's not. It's 4 holes, and you'd think it would sit. What do you do with it? Throw it in the garbage. That's where it belongs anyway. Anyway,
I'll find it. It was in the box.
junk. All right. So that ain't working. That's gonna be like that. That thing's nice dead center. We're gonna run. He's making that other hole. I'm gonna put that on there. Ground cables on. Power wires on. So now over here we're gonna mount a relay for the fuel pump. That's gonna run right off the battery to that, from the switch. So that'll be on here, and then the power wire to trip it goes to the front. Okay, so we'll have that going. We got another. This wire is all going to be run on inside up, and then down here along here, and then go to the panel. I got those mounted in there, and then we're going to figure out where we're going to mount that box. Alright, well, we got the wires running down through there. Got the coil wire run, distributor wire run. I'm making a plate to mount this box. Right? So the ignition box, we're going to mount it on top of behind the dash, on top of the center
Console or
whatever, the
tunnel, yeah.
But the tunnel's double walled, so we can't get under there to put the little isolators on it. So I'm going to make a plate first, and then make the holes in the plate for the isolator, and then make a little stand off it so this sits up a little bit so you can get the nuts and bolts on it. I'll show you when I'm done.
So now our plate is going to get propped up.
Like that. So I made the holes in here. That's all good to go. Actually, you know what I do? I'll just tack this into here first. Let me do that first. Turn that welder on. I'll just tack these on and I'll flip it over. And this way it's ready to go.
will sit on top of that, and then we could put
So now you know what we need to do? Let that
on the bottom.
Hey, get that, throw that in the bucket, cool that off, and then I'll put the 4 things on it, so I don't have to reach in there for trying to get them on.
All right, all right. Hang on.
It's hot. Get a pair of pliers. Okay, so where are we at? Got fuel pump relays, fuel pump circuit breakers. That's all wired. Pumps wired. Grounds are on. Under here, we got that. This is the ground that's going to go on here for the fuel pump. That's going to go there. All the other wires are up in there. That thing is a vent. We're going to put a little filter on the end of that thing. Josh is finishing running the wires for the fuel pump activation. So that's going to go all the way to the front and then get hooked to one of these wires here, which is the blah 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 fuel pump yellow, which is nice because then it corresponds with the yellow coming off of the relay. Amazing. Somebody used their brain for once. Okay, that thing's all mounted. That's all done. That's painted. I'm gonna mount the box to that, and then we can run the wires from there all around, nice, neat. These wires are all gonna get trimmed up so that they all fit nice and neat. And then we're going to run all the wires from the ignition distributor, the coil. We're going to run a ground wire to the block from the ground here. We're going to run a wire to the starter, the main wire to the starter, and then the trip wire to the starter. And then I'm going to get a button for the top so we can put a so like right here or right here in the middle someplace you can put a bump button to bump the valve, bump it over so you can do valve adjustments. I'm not even sure if this is a hydraulic motor or not, but it's always good to be in there because we're wiring it now, and it's always nice to look ahead a little bit. All right, so that's where we're at right now. Getting late here, so now we're actually getting ready to button up a little bit and go have some dinner. All right, so that's where we're at with that thing. Yeah, let me just show you real quick where the box goes.
To the yellow?
Yeah, you can run it all the way. So that's what the box looks like. It'll be way underneath the dash, out of the way.
Right.
And then we'll still be able to do something here if you want something after we put the shifter in. Well, just run. What do you got? Yellow?
Yellow.
No, just leave it because then I'm going to sort all those wires out. But yeah, it is the yellow wire. All right. All right, guys. Stay tuned. Making some progress here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for everybody hitting 2,000. We're going to figure out something. We're going to do a giveaway real quick, and then we'll figure out how you can do that. All right? Probably next video or something, I'll do something with that. Thanks anyway. Appreciate it.